guys, it's Grace here. Welcome back to my channel. Sorry I wasn't on last week. I was very busy getting back into the swing of things for school and stuff because mocks are coming up and all of that yada, homework, whatever. Also, if you're wondering what this is, there's still a tiny bit of tinsel in my hair, which is always a bit fun. So today I'm finally going to talk about what I told you I was going to do a video on quite a while ago. So if any of you have been here since pretty much the dawn of my channel, you will remember I uploaded a video reviewing The Cursed Child, the book one. I still haven't seen it, but I still did the book one. And I did a poll at the end of my video saying two different options for what I would do a review of next, and it was between Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them and the Hunger Games trilogy, because unlike some people, I'm not calling anyone out for not doing this, I just did this because, well, my mum didn't let me read the Hunger Games books until I was a certain age because she was worried about the agenda and stuff, you know, killing kids, whatever. But I read the books before watching the films, so here are my reasons why you should read the books before watching the films for the Hunger Games series. Now, this doesn't apply to all series, but I want to have read all of the Harry Potter books soon. I've only read Philosopher's Stone at the minute, and when I've done that I will say if I thought the books were better than the movies, which may be true, may not be true, but I've seen all the movies, I haven't seen all the film, I haven't read all the books for it yet. Get it together. And I did read all of the Hunger Games books before watching all the films and things, besides, like, the latest film when I was reading them was Catching Fire, I believe. Like, this was a while ago. My mum read the Hunger Games books before I did, so that probably tells you something about it. So, for me, I do think the books were... I do think that some of the plot points in the books could have been addressed in the movies, but I understand if they didn't why they didn't do it for some of them. So, some of the main plot points in the books that were missed out, like certain characters not being included, I was a bit annoyed about that. Most of you, I'm not going to do a big synopsis of the entire 3 books because we will be here all day, and I don't have time for that. You don't have time for that. I'm trying to make sure my videos don't go beyond the 15 or 16 minute mark because I have a problem with that. I really do. I've been looking back at my old videos and I'm like, wow, that is long. So I'm not going to give you a big synopsis and stuff. If you need any of that stuff, you can probably just go on Wikipedia or read the books, or if you've watched the films, you probably have a decent idea about what happened. So the main plot points that were missed out in the first book was there was a character who was not officially included. And if you've read the books, you probably know who I'm talking about. And it's the person who gives Katniss the pin. You know, the one with the little Mockingjay thing on it. And her name is Madge. And she is the mayor's daughter. Now, in the movies, she gets it from the black market, and it seems pretty random because it is. She's very close friends with the mayor's daughter, though, because I don't know if this goat was mentioned in the movies or not, I can't remember, but Prim's goat lady would produce goat's milk, and she would give the goat's milk around to people, and Madge gave her the pin before she went into the Hunger Games. So she came to visit her after the reaping, and after all of that I volunteer as tribute stuff with Prim. Other characters that were not included as well were the other stylists. So Cinna was mentioned, but there was also, I'm going to see if I can remember the names off the top of my head. If not, I'm going to have to look them up, which is going to be kind of embarrassing. The only reason is because I don't still have the original copy of the Hunger Games because my mum lost it or something. But I think it was Vania was the one with the she had green skin, where they had a thing where they could make their skin different colours and stuff, which I don't think was mentioned too much in the films, but it might have been covered. There was Veneer. Flavius was the guy, and he had like all the fun lipsticks and fun hair and things. And Octavia, and I think she had like an afro or something. I can't remember the descriptions exactly, but it was Veneer, Flavius and Octavia, and they were mentioned in all 3 books, but for some reason they were not mentioned in the movies. Maybe they did it for convenience. They just thought, we don't want to have too many people on the cast, we just want to focus on Cinna, because Cinna is a pretty important character. And yeah, it was a bit weird, especially when you find out what happened to them in the 3rd book. So if you haven't read the books, I would strongly suggest you do. But yeah, those 3 characters were the other stylists who worked on Katniss and made her look beautiful for the games. And then there was, in Catching Fire, there was a plot point that I don't think was really covered very much in the movies, because I don't remember seeing any of this happen. I just remember there was the PTSD part where she was like trying to shoot something, but she thought it was a person, and they missed out this point in the middle where she found 2 people. I can't remember if they were in a hut or something, but she found 2 people, and they had like the Mockingjay symbol on some of their stuff, because they were like, it's the symbol of the rebellion, foreshadowing. I can't remember their names, which is pretty annoying. I may include them in the description, but there was 2 people. It was like a mother and a daughter or something, and they had escaped from their district, and they were trying to go and find the district, which wasn't really mentioned until the 3rd book, which was kind of annoying. But District 13, because they believe that it wasn't destroyed, and that there's a legend or a mythological thing that it still exists, but it's below the ground, which turns out to be absolutely true. And I don't know why they didn't include this in the story. It's actually quite important, because it's the first time that people see Katniss as a catalyst towards the capital and all of that snow nonsense with the roses and the manipulation. And it's a bit ridiculous that they didn't include any of this stuff, because I thought it was important. I thought it was very important. And there's still those 3 stylist characters there as well, but also in the Mockingjay, the book, it wasn't split into 2 parts. They just did that because movie. When she goes to District 13, when they realise they're going to need to make some propaganda for her and things, her, Effie, and Plutarch, that's his name, Plutarch, I was trying to remember it. Effie, Plutarch, and Katniss go to find the other stylists, and they've been locked up in a room in a big cage sort of thing, being treated like animals, basically, which I thought was really important, because it's the first sign that there's something a little bit off about District 13. Yes, it's a sanctuary for some people, but it's the first sign that maybe Coin isn't perfect. And honestly, that kind of, yeah, that was an important plot point for me. Also, Madge was also mentioned in Mockingjay. In Mockingjay Part 2, when Prim goes to visit Peter, in the books, sorry, I need to keep this right. In the books, that didn't happen. It was Madge who went to go and see him, because they would have thought that Prim being related to Katniss would have probably affected his psyche, which it totally did. But the thing about Madge was she was so positive, and she was a bit like Luna in some senses, especially when going to see Peter and thinks she's trying to keep him positive and thinking positively about Katniss, even though he's all hijacked and stuff. And I just didn't like how they cut so many characters in the movies. The books were really good. Like, the characters all felt like you knew something about the characters. You knew more about the characters, and the plot points felt more polished. And they didn't focus so much on the fact that it was about the relationships. It was more about Katniss being a shining example of not wanting to be a part of the games, but still having to take part in the games because of all the sick, twisted nonsense in Capitol, and her becoming a symbol for the revolution and the rebellion and all of that madness. Also, another thing that they missed out, which I thought was really good in the books, when Finnick gets married to Annie, they take Katniss back to District 12 to go and look through her dresses. And I don't know whether this felt important to me. It felt important to me. She went and looked through the dresses and found one that would be good for her. So maybe it wouldn't have looked so folksy at the wedding like it did in the movie. And Effie was just kind of overjoyed because she was like, pretty clothing, because she'd been stuck in that grey jumpsuit and she couldn't wear her Lady Gaga outfits as it was. But they missed out a lot of important stuff, which kind of annoyed me, because the books just did a really good job. They really did. Suzanne Collins just created a world where children were being scrutinised and ruined. Like, being in a war where people were trying to kill you would probably mess you up pretty badly. But the movies did an okay job. Like, no offence to any of the cast members, they did do a great job, but I don't know. I just preferred the books, to be honest. The movies aren't terrible, although they do miss out plot points and they do kind of go over things that weren't as important as other things. It's not too bad of a movie. It's not that bad. Just like the Harry Potter movies. I know that there's a lot of plot points from the books and things, but there were a lot more books, so it probably affected people more. But this is just my opinion on the matter. So take it with about a grain of salt, I guess. But this is just my opinion on what I thought of the Hunger Games books compared to the movies. I did enjoy the books. I did enjoy watching the movies. Pretty much. Like, I was just excited to see it becoming movies and things. It's one of the best young adult things I've ever read, pretty much. I mean, I read some of Divergent and then watched the movies. Like, I've only seen the first 2 movies for Divergent. But we'll see when we get there with that franchise. And I haven't seen Crimes of Grindelwald. I feel like it's better to stay out of Fantastic Beasts for now, because I've heard about the plot points in Crimes of Grindelwald and stuff that they got wrong and things that just made it a bit of a nostalgia trip instead of an actual relevant, needed movie. When I see it, I will do a nice thing about whether Fantastic Beasts was better than Crimes of Grindelwald. I feel like that's probably going to be true, but we'll see. I need to see it first. I made a review of the film I just watched, but it's a bit grown up, so I might not, because it has a lot of weird stuff in it. It's just a weird movie, the one that I just watched. And if I ever get to see Mary Poppins Returns, I will probably do a review of normal Mary Poppins and then Mary Poppins Returns, because I just love Mary Poppins so much. Like, anyway, this isn't what the video's about. Hunger Games books, brilliant. Movies, okay, basically. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment what you might like to see in my next video, and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you can see me uploading my content. I will try to make this more weekly. If it doesn't work out because of mocks and all the craziness of being an A-level student, it will become once every 2 weeks, which I feel like is easier for my schedule, but just stay tuned in my communication area where I can leave messages and things, because that's where I will be keeping track of all of this. So thank you very much for watching, but I gotta go.